first concept is associative learning. Associative learning is when the subject links a certain stimulus to a certain response. The most famous example is Ian Pavlov's use of dogs to demonstrate that a stimulus, such as the ringing of a bell, leads to a reward.
Spin.
Nala begins to associate the sound of a click with getting food or... There are two types of associative learning. The first is classical conditioning. Classical conditioning is a learning process that occurs when two stimuli are repeatedly paired. A response is at first elicited by the second stimulus is eventually elicited by the first stimulus alone. The neutral stimulus begins to produce a response that prepares for the unconditioned stimulus. Now Nala no longer needs a treat to know that up means she needs to stand. Conditioned stimulus. The conditioned stimulus is an originally irrelevant stimulus that after association with the unconditioned stimulus comes a trigger response. The click was at first a neutral stimulus and then became the conditioned stimulus, and it triggers a conditioned response. The second type of associative learning is operant conditioning. Operant conditioning is roughly changing of behavior by the use of reinforcement which is given after the desired response. Examples of this is punishment, negative reinforcement, and positive reinforcement. We'll be looking at positive reinforcement, which uses reward to encourage behavior to occur more often. Our example of this is that Nala knows that if she pushes the ball into the bowl, she will receive a reward, and this behavior will occur more often. The next concept is shaping. This was introduced by B.F. Skinner's experiment with pigeons. Shaping is using reinforcement every time the subject performs an act that is part of the desired behavior. When we were teaching Nala how to walk, we would first click every time she took one step, and then clicked when she took 2 steps, and eventually she started to walk. Chaining. Chaining involves reinforcing individual responses occurring in a sequence to perform a complex behavior. We taught Nala how to stand, go through a pipe, and weave, and then jump. And we put all those tricks we changed all those tricks together, and eventually she did them together. Chaining is a method or skill that is taught by breaking it down into a series of smaller tasks that begin from the simplest form to the most complex. Each step or link on the line acts as a cue to the next task on the line. The next concept is cognitive maps. A cognitive map is a mental representation of physical locations or the layout of one's environment. Many animals are able to form a mental representation of an environment that they live in. After Nala finds her way through the maze, the layout of the maze will be integrated into her brain. She will repeat this every single time to find her way to the end. And that's all. Hope you enjoyed.